Life is full of turning points. Genesis chapter 2 presents a critical moment in human history, the introduction of two trees in the Garden of Eden that symbolize two very different paths that humanity can take. Hey fellow creations, it's Elijah here. Welcome to the Bible and Prayer podcast, the show where we simply read the Bible and then pray about it. Bible and prayer are fundamental elements of the Christian faith that we need to build habits of in our lives. So join us on the Bible and Prayer podcast every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday as we strive to make Bible and prayer habits in our daily lives. Tap that follow button to subscribe to the Bible and Prayer podcast so you don't miss the rest of the first 11 chapters of Genesis or the future books that we'll be covering. We all crave meaning and purpose in life. In Genesis 2, it reveals God's perfect plan for humanity to partner with Him in His creation, thriving under His definition of good and evil. But a different path presents itself, a tempting option with far-reaching consequences. Before we dive in and read Genesis chapter 2, let's remind ourselves of the context of the book. Genesis is the first book in the Bible, establishing the foundation of creation and God's relationship with humanity. It describes the origins of the world, the creation of the first man and woman, their rebellion against God, and the resulting consequences of sin. However, even amidst humanity's downward spiral that's seen in the first 11 chapters of the book, the story points to a thread of hope, God's promise of redemption through a chosen people, the family of Abraham. This promise lays the groundwork for the rest of the Old Testament, which traces the development of that family, the Israelites, and ultimately points to the arrival of the Messiah, Jesus Christ, who offers forgiveness and salvation to all humanity. Now, zooming in on chapter 2 specifically, this chapter offers a more detailed perspective on the creation of humanity than did chapter 1. We see the Garden of Eden, and we see the introduction of the tree of life and the tree of the knowledge of good and evil here in chapter 2. God grants freedom of choice with a clear warning. Partake in the forbidden tree, and the consequence is death. With all that being said, let's jump in and read Genesis chapter 2 together. The heavens, the earth, and all their vast array were finished. On the seventh day, God finished His work which He had done, and He rested on the seventh day from all His work which He had done. God blessed the seventh day and made it holy, because He rested in it from all His work of creation which He had done. This is the history of the generations of the heavens and the earth when they were created, in the day that Yahweh, God, made the earth and the heavens. No plant of the field was yet on the earth, and no herb of the field had yet sprung up, for Yahweh God had not caused it to rain on the earth. There was not a man to till the ground, but a mist went up from the earth and watered the whole surface of the ground. Yahweh God formed man from the dust of the ground, and breathed into his nostrils the breath of life, and man became a living soul. Yahweh God planted a garden eastward, in Eden. There He put the man whom He had formed. Out of the ground Yahweh God made every tree to grow that is pleasant to the sight and good for food, including the tree of life in the middle of the garden, and the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. A river went out of Eden to water the garden, and from there it was parted and became the source of 4 rivers. The name of the first is Pishon. It flows through the whole land of Havilah, where there is gold, and the gold of that land is good. Bdellium and the onyx stone are also there. The name of the second river is Gihon. It is the same river that flows through the whole land of Cush. The name of the third river is Hiddekel. This is the one which flows in from Assyria. The fourth river is the Euphrates. Yahweh God took the man and put him into the Garden of Eden to cultivate and keep it. Yahweh God commanded the man, saying, "You may freely eat of every tree of the garden, but you shall not eat of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, for in the day that you eat of it, you will surely die." Yahweh God said, "It is not good for the man to be alone. I will make him a helper, comparable to him." Out of the ground, Yahweh God formed every animal of the field and every bird of the sky, and brought them to the man to see what he would call them. Whatever the man called every living creature became its name. The man gave names to all livestock, to the birds of the sky, and to every animal of the field. But for man there was not found a helper comparable to him. Yahweh God caused the man to fall into a deep sleep. As the man slept, he took one of his ribs and closed up the flesh in its place. Yahweh God made a woman from the rib, which he had taken from the man, and brought her to the man. The man said, "This is now bone of my bones and flesh of my flesh. She will be called woman, because she was taken out of man." Therefore, a man will leave his father and his mother, and will join with his wife, and they will become one flesh. The man and his wife were both naked, and they were not ashamed. All right, that concludes the reading for Genesis chapter 2. A couple of points of application here. Firstly, we see that we are partners in God's creation. God places humanity in the garden not as passive observers, but as co-creators. The act of tending the garden reflects their role in partnering with God's creative design. This invitation extends to all of humanity as well, not just to Adam and Eve, to participate in the ongoing work of making the world a better place and extending God's mission to the world around us. The second thing that we see here is that God defines good and evil. The presence of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil in the garden isn't a test, but it's a boundary. God is saying that He, as the Creator, has the inherent right to establish what's good and evil for His creation. Trusting this definition is core to living in harmony with God. A third thing that we see here is that there's always that allure of self-rule. God knew that they were going to crave to eat from the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. And we see in chapter 3, the serpent's temptation is going to be of independence, of their own self-rule. The temptation is to question God's authority and that humans can define their own moral compass. This desire for self-rule, to be our own gods, leads to separation from God's perfect will. That's why He said, "The day that you eat of it, you will die." You will be separated from Him and from His perfect creation. All right, let's go to God in prayer about these things. God in heaven, there's no God but You. We praise Your glorious and holy name. Thank You for creation. Thank You for the beautiful world that You made. And thank You for inviting us to be co-creators with You, that You want us to come alongside You and help make Your world beautiful and extend Your love and mercy to the world, to extend Your mission out into the world. Thank You for presenting us with this mission, Father, to help be Your image bearers in the world. Father, please help us to allow You to define what is good and evil. We recognize that we can reach out and define good and evil for ourselves, but everything is so much better. Life is so much better, so much easier and simpler when we allow you to define what is good and what is evil. Help us to make the right choice, Father, that we're being presented with the two trees. We're being presented with the tree of life or the tree of knowledge of good and evil. We can pick whether we want to reject your reign and rule and establish right and wrong for ourselves, or whether we want to eat from the tree of life in your garden. Please, Father, help us to make the right choice and help us to allow you to define what is good and evil in our lives. And Father, please bless us and strengthen us as we face the temptation to deal with this allure of self-rule that we all crave to sort of define what is right and wrong for ourselves. Please help us, Father, when those temptations inevitably come, that we will be able to withstand, that we will be able to say no to the serpent, and that we will allow you to continue to define what is good and evil in our lives. Because you are the creator. You are the one that defines right and wrong. You are the one who made us, and you are the one that invites us alongside you to be your image bearers in the world. In Jesus' precious name, amen. Genesis chapter 2 presents a stark choice at the dawn of humanity. The two trees symbolize two paths, partnering with God in his good creation or attempting to define good and evil for ourselves. This same choice confronts us today. Will we embrace our God-defined purpose to live in harmony with him, or will the allure of self-rule lead us down a path of separation from his perfect design? Remember to follow and subscribe and join us next time for Genesis chapter 3. This has been Elijah with the Bible in Prayer podcast. Until next time, we love you all. God bless.